Tragedy.
Dele.
Trajakara Yuba, Deva Tamara. Tragedy. Airfondo. There is Sanji Jom Dine. From Zina, Trami, some of Conquer College of something or Marty, and so. Just of the Sajir and Chopa comes from the same thing of the nearby.
Bashidele to everyone living on the live stream and also everyone gathered here in person. And so here I'm holding the Buddha's begging bowl. And that begging bowl contains the love in the form of this milk tea, that love that the Buddha generated and during many hardships throughout 3 countless aeons. And this milk tea of love becomes therefore an offering to all the Buddhas after 3 times, and a gift to all sentient beings in the 3 realms. Shidelek.
Long Zi dinner, can't go good, can't go, can't go home over it. It is a couple of it. Any kind of something, and you got Carago, say the over they can't go good, the Long Zi.
So this term begging bowl, so it's klungse in Tibetan, and so it just means something you can easily drop your food in, and that refers to the shape, it being round. So when you're going around asking for alms, asking for food, if it wouldn't be that shape, if it would be like square, it would be really difficult to hold it. But because of its shape, you can easily hold it like this and carry it around and ask people to drop alms in there. That's why it's called klungse or alms bowl.
So sometimes I just told me what I did. So, same thing, don't the near the Dajina. Now, children in the so, Mucho Java, Kanta, Tata, Jopata, Kandan, De Pata, Teji, Kangma Zone, Yonji, Makwata, Japton, Dakona, Tomo George, the Japanian show. The rich road number, and such a cogni, Yeshe Lama. Mahasidda Drubwang Rinpoche jiba song Garchen Rinpoche. There guba chenpo yore, pena kingsang mena teni ichitibo kako yore. There tata the chui de kena te sok song me de sore song da kati song the te lo ju chi kore. Te da pe pimpa chenpo yore. Te inju Garchen Rinpoche son deble dumen na song yore. Kari no loju de chugores. Loju tube Taiwan de loju apoto corte, serna yig, tamonyon do yoga chadores. Loju tube Taiwan de. Taiwan de no tate yongti kari tasa no tame. Yongti tong ye de ba che. Oh, de ngre yongti chimo. Chu de chen de se ya pi do ta. Yongti tong ye de ba che. Dringone chu lo chu de pa che re. Yi che chi ge sem me samandro yi che chi de pe samandro. De pa jo me o Garchen Rinpoche de ka du ne chap to kundu. Kong ne che che bang wa shi ma go shi de me le ja li ko. Ja li do ju ko do. Zo ma pa ka tu pe. O用电筒的对吧？就哈的，一切就是这边上班的，这里看个上那儿拍起卡上啊，我大块有的去，对吧？今呢，我是爱弄东西，哦，对吧？这对吧？这里边边国家有的，这个样的，是吧的，这样，俺你们这是，干嘛讲呢？样对吧？基有这啥这个。哦，Garchen Rinpoche过那个年的，说是刚把这嘛有3个月这些的，Garchen Rinpoche他把过那个有的是， 이때 딱 말고 세번을 딱 말이오래 속을 되면더니 이철 늘더니 그러는 보지 조금 말이 말아래 비해서 오래 말아래 바창 마시 처럼 나왕 도통 다처럼 셔보고디 와서 보는 돌고리지 생까지는 해야요 말이지 주지sel로 해야요 말이지 가지서 와서는 사지 샤기한테 대해서 오래지 그걸 못지 대해서 오래지 말아래 비해서 송특바 첫특바는 이제 제일 그때 소리 다른 개비신이 담지는 배는 저 잡았던지 김바오 저 잡았던지 샤디 뭐래 샤디 뭐지 가래디 로트 차망 뭘 심지지 바다 대해서 조금 뭐좀 거기서 온 남카 저시 남카 네 저봐 저시 다장 네 저네 로아테시 네 저 대디 다장 네 로드가 세발고 오토바 줄마 세바 대설이 다 사제 담제 차 게뉴바 담다 사제 제발이 말이지 송지대 사제 같이만 미왔어 롱을 빨아서는 참 송거래 사제 무슨 사제 다음에 까다치 톡자치 머리 톡디들이 무슨 소리면 까는 살롱동거리 오래 다 되네 디스척동 게뉴바 같은 거요래 될 견디는 사제인가 제발 열매 밥을 견디는 톡사제 껌견디 송담주제 족성꾸지 짝성꾸지 거슴꾸지 그 사제 거슴다니 사제를 거슴이요 사제 주가 남카난지 남카 잡거리지 그다음에 지내데 남카 가능한 사제요 레스 오야 나그래서 세기에 차별 놓아도 삼아 sem지바도 맞춰봐 나주 너도지 말에 잡대요 그래서 잡대는 sem이발 가찹되나 공삼제리 삼제리 잡토고요 그래서 이 잡도 뭐 잡을 안 하는 레를 랑닝 잡는 생착반의 삼제시는 사바체미 되지 들 생고만은 주바람 얘기 차도 생고만랑 이거 팽이요래 네 오 라마디 다시 강만 써면 바둑감이 이제 혼자 가게 타면 가시 뭐냐 스마 바둑만이 지금 밥지 이제 그래서 야야야라 그래 가해서 스마 바둑만이 나 도리처럼 나고는 거 말했지 대지 근데 나 요말 초요말 나니가 샘대요 그래지 샘대요는 치아게 나라 이쪽으로 나한테 그래지 네 샘에 이지문 사제시 따봤던 거 그래지 사제시 봐 따래지 오 죽은 남과 따오면 대차도 가서 되라 들이고 다 되라 오 우리는 이제 돌을 샘지 돌을 오늘 람마턴 자와미 벌써 저러데 잘고는 자와요 말이지 들은 철들인 로아를 두는 이송 답들이 참 좋아마다 오 이제 토리 샘잘 마서나 사제를 자와요 말이지 뒤송대 시선은 오 단단 남부치네 바돌이 좁지 당연히 좁다 그죠 나라니게 팔사제 괜찮나 사제 제야도 남가 가는 사제 다 사제 괜찮아 그쪽 준비 산쪽람 난리데 그쪽이 산쪽람 난리데 저바데 가리샤모도 라기 뉴mom을 레사야 와세 이제 될적이 못되라 라기 무보다 제만진데 레마고 사요래 뒤박 잡을 샤오네 세도 점이 홀로다와래 콩도만이나 배 레게무게디 빠자도래 산이 셔서 대철 샤려버리 대철은 라낭리 라낭 trouble 그래서 대철이 다 되는 정상이 되지 대 참주 오 라마르테 받치 뭐 사제르테 받치 뭐 랍상 사제르 늘때이 고 잡소 늘때이 소리 참 라마르테 늘때이 고 잡소 팔라 샤용이 얼마나 가서 때이데 비 야보는데 빼빼지 탐지 대사 못상나 오 세카만도 되더니 바딘 정상 샤용을 다 지금 탑비가 가르치는 다들 셈지 털려네 오다 라마르테 진지 저 사람들이 샤고 다자자자 다다다다랑 tok 토크도 Oh, they don't that she's on the oh, job song your age. Market so on the create. Job took the dogs on the Yeshe the best on you. See, take songs down on some others. Oh, the doctor saw your 다니 좀 상지만 통제받대 랑근천 하고 소리 대 샘들 지켜 보고는 저가요면 대삼의 신의 야부 요리 대 로지도 따치 보래
So, friends, so this morning, Yeshe Lama was sharing with us an extensive life story of Magic Lapton. That was very kind of him to do, because that is very meaningful, because it is otherwise difficult for us to really understand the meaning of those teachings. So it is important to understand the origin on where it is coming from, and who holds those teachings, and what where are they coming from. Actually, Guru Rinpoche himself taught in the 7-chapter supplication that it is very important to hear the life story of a master. And so he said that when you hear the life story, you will be filled with inspiration. Then when you see the qualities, faith arises in you. And when that faith becomes unshakable, a conviction, a trust, then your intentions, what you wish for, can be accomplished. When you hear the life story, an inspiration arises. So when you hear it and you feel inspired, you wish to hear more, and you then begin to wonder what are the qualities of that master. And then as you go deeper, you realize that what they have taught is truly of great benefit in this and future lives. And that then leads to a trust, a conviction. And if conviction, a trust arises, then with that, you are on your way to fulfill all of your intentions. And Guru Rinpoche is truly a great being who is always there and who can protect us, because he has transcended birth and death. He attained the rainbow body, or the Vajra body of a rainbow body, and he departed from this world. He didn't leave his mortal body behind, but he departed for the Pure Land miraculously into the southwestern direction. And he made this promise when he departed, saying that I'm always there for those who have, so for those who have faith, I will be right at their doorstep and will give them prophecies or instructions. And actually, that is actually a statement that of the Nyingma tradition that was sometimes refuted by some masters, and they have said that, so if he's always at your doorstep, then you've got to be careful not to step on him with your feet as you kind of across the threshold of your doorstep. But the point really isn't that, but it is that when he's always in your mind, then he's always present with you. And when you always think of him, then his blessings enter your mind. And of course, this is not only true of Guru Rinpoche, but all the other masters like Milarepa. And for example, for Milarepa, just before he passed away, his disciples begged him not to leave. And they said, you have the freedom of life. You don't need to leave. Please do not die. Please stay with us. And then Milarepa replied that the body has to be discarded, but actually I cannot die, but the mind never dies. I'm always there with you. And the same thing was taught by all the other masters. Like Buddha Shakyamuni, Guru Rinpoche, Milarepa, what they were saying is all identical. The same thing, just like different drops of the same water merging. And so who represents that Buddha now? It is our spiritual teacher, our spiritual friend. For example, such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And that is why we make long life prayers to them to not leave until the end of samsara. For example, in the Bodhicharya Vatara, it says that in the dedication, it says that as long as space remains, sentient beings will remain. And for as long as sentient beings remains, karma and suffering remains. And until and for as long as they remain, may I too remain and dispel the sufferings of the world. And so that is the essence of their aspiration, and that essence is represented by the sangha. That is also mentioned in the scriptures. And so that is the word of the Buddha, and it is said that the word of the Buddha is more precious than the form of the Buddha. And the mind is more precious than the speech. But the mind is also explained, the mind is shown through the speech. And who shows us the Buddha's mind through their speech? It is the Sangha, the masters. And for this reason, the Sangha is no different from the Buddha. And so that is why we say that the Sangha represents the three jewels. The form is the Sangha, the appearance is the Sangha, speech is the Dharma, and the mind is the Buddha. We also say the Sangha represents the embodiment of the 9 jewels. 3 jewels, the 3 roots, and the 3 kayas. So regarding the 3 kayas, the Dharma kaya pervades all of space, is always all pervasive. As it also is stated in the Chenrezig practice. So wherever space pervades, that is where sentient beings pervade. And wherever they pervade, Chenrezig pervades. And Chenrezig is not this solid, limited me, but he pervades, is all-encompassing. And what is it really that pervades? It is really great love that pervades. That the power of pervasiveness lies in love. And so therefore, whether or not your mind can pervade depends on you, whether or not you can develop love. And therefore, if you always cultivate love day and night, you always cultivate immeasurable love, that is the greatest offering to the higher beings, and it naturally becomes a benefit to all sentient beings. Often people ask me that Rinpoche, when I die and I go into the bardo of becoming, please don't forget me, please think of me. And of course, I always respond, yes, I won't forget you. But really, it's not that I will come and actually physically hold your hand in the bardo of becoming, because ultimately there is no I and you there. There is just the mind. But if you believe in me, then you will also think of me. And because on the basis of the ultimate mind or the view, we are actually one. And that mind is the Buddha. So if you therefore think of me, then what appears to you is this oneness. If you think of me, you don't think of the self. So you abide in this expanse, this space-like expanse that's the expanse of the Dharmakaya. And when you see that, then you know that you are never separate from the guru. And so when you realize that you are never separate from the guru, that is when the blessings actually enter your mind. It is just that in the bardo, if you become deluded, then you will continue to wander through the 6 realms of samsara. While at the same time, fundamentally on the basis, there never is a separation. And if you understand that, then you will also know that what it is that will help you when the various manifestations of the bardo appear, what it is that will actually help you. So if you can remember the Buddha, he will never forget you. He's actually always there, like space. But you need to remember the Buddha. And if you remember the Buddha for even a single moment, then the Buddha can lead you on the path to enlightenment. So what happens when delusions appear? How do they appear? These delusions appear due to the karmic tendencies of afflictive emotions that we have accumulated, habituated to. And therefore, although we do possess Buddha nature on the basis, we have also accumulated a great deal of karmic patterns of grasping at a concrete, true reality. And these karmic imprints, these patterns, then in the bardo become projected to you, just like a TV show. So as you are accumulating karma or habituating to karmic tendencies, it is like you are recording, you're moving. You keep taking pictures, you keep recording. And then in the bardo, what is recorded, all that non-virtuous karma that is recorded, then is projected to you as the manifestations of the bardo. So they are your self-projections, but not recognizing that, you will become afraid of them. However, if you have faith in the guru or in the Buddha, if you can think of the guru or the Buddha, then it is like hitting stop on the TV show. It is stopped immediately, and the film is cut. Then when you hit the stop button, when you stop the film, then there's nothing that will continue to manifest. So then all these confused perceptions in that moment cease to manifest. That is actually a really good example that you should reflect on again and again. And so that is explained in the Sekangma, the Golden Temple prayer. So you should also read that. Because later, when you have died and the fears of the bardo arise, actually, before they arise, you first come to the fundamental ground, your Buddha nature. And then from that, if you're able to remember the Yidam or the Guru, that's why we make this prayer, may I be able to remember the Guru and become liberated. May I be able to remember the Yidam and see the Yidam's face directly. So based on this, you can understand how you are going to be protected, in which way you're going to be protected. And so it goes in those 3 ways. It follows those 3 principles, the kinds of faith, when we go back to that prayer of Guru Rinpoche. So first, when you recount the life story, you're filled with inspiration. Then when you see qualities, a faith arises within you. And when that faith, that trust becomes unshakable, then the blessings will enter your mind. So then from that, you are free of doubt. When you're free of doubt, all that you wish for can be achieved. So when you really understand the basis of these confused appearances in the bardo, then you understand how you can free yourself of that delusion, and you will not fall under the power of delusion at that point. So once that is clearly understood, then you will no longer become confused, and you will be able to remember the guru or the yidam and so on. And that begins with understanding the life story, the historical background. And that is why it's so important to hear the story.
Oh. Tata Shayade, Sumaka Koshayari, the Sumaka Koshina, Sumata Chimbo Yima, Tea, Tona the Hakosona, Chimbo Yima Jokari, Sumatin, Sanjig, Go, Song, Tok, Yontin, Trade to Basumata Pirate. 사지 전에 가래 되는 사지 랑게 땜반데 가래 땜바들들이 콜로스인지 보왕 삼진이 콜로 로카트 삼진 콜로 사레지 콜로스인지 사지 땜바들 자와대서 요래지 내가 망보지 요래지 다들 주진이 배선 제제상 서땜바고 봐야 될 동안에 참마들 콜로스는 나는 되어요리 콜로 썸들 레고나 제 썸보들들이 답보지 않는데 라라기들 사와드물 적기 매요리 적미게 다 고소 답지 못하 수마삼지 라다이 진디 바오 카도 주종 수마지 데려다다 강그레들다다 수마 탐지 좀 등게 다다 무슨 저게 가라포가사나 참이때 그렇다 참에 받게 로고서리 숨어서게 좀 하고도 숨어대 하고로 야고도 돼 강이 좀 되게 징하르시 저바시 베가자라시 법기 조르시아지 수종수만 남는 조반버들 오 뒤들 샘기도는 사족의 샘기네 고초스고 지세 종이 인이 상태 다고 자기스 다고 자지 체대다 삼마 봐도 다른 잠도 마 슈니 상태 산이 상마제게 받다 다고 자기스 그렇게 라고래 대외들이 법기 종을 자지 용소만 남는 조바버다 대외 소마서 같이 오지래 이러면서 내가 댄스를 소마서 같이 오해 그렇게 자기 요와 탐지에다가 고마 탐지에서 마다치 못을 다른 차에다 수정 그래 무슨 말 패고 거래 말을 sem나 좋네 다체는 노동 철례 그 세인 철례 가래 잠벌리니 그런 것도 다다 독설 쪽이 비약합 요래시 독설 쪽이는 만악하니 좀 써봐 고쳐서 명이 좀 써봐 들이 차요래시 얘는 다다 잠벌네 대서만 매발다고 그랬지 매발다는 다다 사지티 막 가르쳐서 딴 잠벌리는 망도 제성시 자 제성시 약간은 복같이 서자롱 바가래 답답하게 잡송하지 네 가리를 잡송네 내가 뭐도 찍자 요 말이지 내가들 놀이 정지 내가 다소 내가 참만 좋아하다 답답해 줄 말이라 다소 내가 도구 요 말이지 스스럼 내가 짜지셔 봐야죠 코베 내가 탐지했다 유의점 쪽에 이제 위치지 라리 소리면서 대나지를 해 다리 정도 다투고 내가 토거나 다투 내가 대가래 다단 잠발 왕이나니 제거래 소남심 타미바에 제게 상지 왕토요 사지 고방 토소를 주지지 강 제냐 머리 소망 줘야요 말이지 스스로 내가 가리 다다 주소보자 총여보처럼 아니 맞을 내 왕고 차로 그랬지 야 다다 주 체르모는 사이셔로 로용용셔로 되는지 뭐다 말인데 제레스 오 남이야 먼저 타바고 방 줘도 오 사제 고방 토소를 기반이 기와 체압이 들어는 마술라 그렇게 라방 토를 너희들이 잘 대서들이 라가 대레스 딜라가데 강리용이 딱 고쳐서는 용어시 대를 꾼 조선데 감성 샘기나 공부를 잘해서 사지 공부를 사지를 잡 공부를 했어 추저를 소장을 남가버리 추저를 남가버리 개들을 족하버리 됐으면 되는 딸 남가대 So now same time may pass over what they sort of told us. There are some summer when you let on touch the genius or that pache the coming younger is. They run lady Mazu your lady Joy. The anything they are Georgia, Kasika daughter of yours. George Logi Mambo. Ni met to for a charge on there. Che, he was a oh yeah, to give us a 10 days songs. That had a lot of dinner. Deputy Romana dinner, some just so on the So I did some tickle do like Deputy Romana so on the way. You Deputy Romana so say job songs. There's a logic in the party, but I already logic semi already. Then again, there's Nevada sorry. 딱 건조좀 나요. 건조좀 그래 가지고 딱 주동을 해서 숨말이 해서 그 숨말 가래나 숨 오래 장가서 해요 말이지. 그 숨말 삼지 또 서리지. 다 사지 동에도 마가라리스. 샤마드네 마가라데리스. 오이. 숨말 삼지 사기 닝섬 그 숨말 삼지做的 버들 마카라리 소마 탐지 잡고나 콩레스 그 콩그 콜러들이 단 드라마다 세 콩그 콜러들 콩그 잡아서고 맞아 만만히 정보 탑재라 주시 롱동 담지지 게딩지 게미지 처벌 게미 도바드 맞아 만만히 정보 탑재라 게미지와 그 게미 도바리 그러지 소마 탐지 게미 도바라고 그러지 라이즈 다탐지 게미 도발라는데 게미 볼라고 하시 어때 탐지 출라주 다보 출라지 바르데 그 셈지 탐지라 피바데 데 도치 올레 대치 그래 대회들이 다수마다 다치 버리지 대는 거 소를 폭대 빼는 총총이잖아 나라니 로줄이 시나 장미발이 떨인 영감실 차야 말이야 빼 총총이 좋지 이시라만 콩던데 와지 Yeshe Lama Kong, Namdu Tang Gangen Cheris. Kong Garis Grisonsi. Nati Logi the Head of Net Seminary. Logi says, Ah, Gangen Che. Kamachong about Doctor Takari. After seasons, after season, party Jamo the Todos. The Jamo thing. Chandes was he. Dajamos. Chang Daj. Two Gangen. They Logi Kwangasona Yawore. 대 소분 처리에 대도 나라 대도 당장 매봐 뭐지마 당지 철마 처리 대 가송은 처리를 초크요만 같이 가송은 용지 싫어하고 우리 마도도 가송은 용지 말고 내지 나게 말이지 나시 잡게 말이지 나도 타니지 계속하지 나서 그래 나한테 삼는 나제리 나 가래서로 답이 출력될 용내지는 대송에 적지는 뭐 제그 쪽도 가령 제거 좋았지. 제그 쪽도 거기 서리. 다단 잡을는 다 나빠 사지. 주로 용조가 또도 자탐지 기발레스. 자탐지 기발 셈는 저기 이 약보시 예사을 해야 돼. 노노노노 이 집기서만 잡을는 게 주로사만 소리서는 제기제가 말이야. 오. 사지 탈이 죽었을 라버리. 개주고 좋아해 싸고요래 대다고 용지 하고래 대도 하고는 달리 딴 잡는 남 밖에 잡고 나와 차서 뭐라는 달리라 마서 보대가 좋을라 말이야 다시 용용도 샘비 계속을 말이야 콩 답이다 다 살아줄 내만 남칼을 다 오금 잡는 참 대도 용지 대도 속에서 다소 막아서 그래 소소라나 저 파도 내가 탐치를 송도 그래. 디스를 들이겠다. 대를 다 섭제게 라는 게 드럽다 말이 고송이 다 속하는 아주 좋아해. 들지 제 다른 로지시에.
So today what I'm going to speak about is that the protectors, the protector practice, and what we need to understand about them and why they are so precious, they are so important. So we speak about the Buddha's enlightened body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities. And the protectors specifically are the manifestations of the Buddha's enlightened activities. So what are the Buddha's activities? The Buddha's activities are encompassed by are expressed through the three wheels. There is the wheel of abandonment, the wheel of where we first reflect and we develop through meditative concentration. We develop this through meditation. We develop the wheel of abandonment, and then through reading and study, the wheel of learning, and then there's the wheel of activities. Which comes from the various activities of benefiting others. And for example, the various activities of increasing the Dharma all over the world by building monasteries and engaging in various activities of increasing, upholding, and protecting the Buddha's teachings. And so all of these three wheels, all of these activities, the activity wheel is really the accomplishment of the Dharma protectors. So of course it's the human beings, the humans engage in those activities, but then it's the Dharma protectors, the Dharma palas, the Dakas and Dakinis, who assist them, who actually support these activities. And so therefore, the protectors are considered very important in all the different lineages. For example, when we're eating a meal, we also generally also offer to the protectors. So there's this line in our food offering prayer where we say, I offer this to the Dharma protectors who the ones who accomplish the ones who accomplish the Buddha's enlightened activities. And so, and we this is actually how this practice. This is something that's kind of practiced in all the different lineages without any bias. And they are all considered important. And so, anyone who follows the Buddha Dharma, all the followers of the three jewels, are protected, looked after by the Dharma protectors. That is their commitment to protect Dharma practitioners in this life, the next life, and in the bardo. For example, once you have taken the refuge vow, if you're taking the refuge vow today, then you are under their protection because it is their promise to protect you until you reach the state of enlightenment. And so that is why, especially temporarily on the path, those protectors are very important. And they really support all the various Dharma activities. And so sometimes they also, there's certain ways in which they directly manifest. There are some monasteries that were like a certain kind of medium, an oracle kind of person is becomes the medium for the protector to actually show themselves in form. And so there are some signs, some actual signs of them, but even indirectly, they really are the ones who help us accomplish all of these activities. So it seems that on the outer level, in terms of their outer activities on the outer level, the Buddha's teachings have undergone some destruction. For example, there was our country in the past where there were so many people. So there were billions of people, a billion people or so, and all of these people, even though there are so many people, there was a time where we were not even allowed to say the word Mani. Not a single person of all these billions of people would say the Mani mantra or say even the words, the name of the three jewels. So it seemed externally that the Buddha's teachings are declining, are under attack in the world. But then look at what happened to the Buddha's teachings now as a result of that. Instead of just remaining contained in Tibet, not only have they spread more and more in Tibet, but they have actually spread to all the corners of the world, throughout all the Western countries. So now they are flourishing even greater. And so what is the purpose? Why is it important that the Buddha's teachings flourish? Is because everyone wants to be happy. And the only source of both temporary and ultimate happiness is the holy Dharma. In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it is said that happiness of the three realms is as fleeting as a dewdrop on a tip of a blade of grass. So the temporary happiness is not lasting. But if we want to attain the ultimate happiness, regarding that, in the Zambala self-empowerment, in the end, it says, may I attain the empowerment of enlightenment in a single lifetime, which is the endless accumulation of merit. The endless or inexhaustible merit is what will lead to all temporary and ultimate happiness. No matter what you do, whether it is a Dharma activity or a mundane activity, that merit will then never come to an end. That is unlike this fleeting happiness of the three worlds, the samsaric happiness. Maybe today, now you are a wealthy business person, but one day you may become poor, like a beggar. Maybe now you have a good life, but you could die suddenly. So only when you attain the state of Buddhahood will you attain true lasting happiness, a true freedom. And this true freedom is attained through the victory over the four maras. And the Dharma is the path toward that. And so where does that path come from? It comes from the three jewels. And and for this reason, it is for jewels, literally from the Tibetan language, it means the rare ones, the supreme and rare ones. They're rare. They are rare throughout the three realms of sentient beings. The Buddha is very, very rare. It is rare to find the refuge of the Buddha. And it is very difficult to find the path, the Dharma. And it is very hard to find the Sangha companion on that path. And having found that, that is what we mean by saying the inexhaustible, the endless accumulation of merit, the endless merit. And now, so even though we have encountered the teachings, then again, we do encounter various difficulties, obstacles that suddenly arise. And that is because of our own karma that is coming to fruition. If one doesn't have the karma for a certain obstacle, then it cannot occur. But still, even though those obstacles may arise, they can be overcome. There are many stories about that, about overcoming obstacles if you have faith. For example, just personally, I can tell my own personal story about that. Tara had saved my life in this life at least 8 times. And to me, Tara, therefore, is really she's the essence of all the deities, of all the Buddhas. All the Buddhas are within her. And I am certain that she has protected my life that many times, and therefore I always supplicate to Tara. I always pray to Tara, and I have complete faith that she will protect me. if you're interested, there is also a recording that was made where I am telling the story about how Tara saved my life those 8 times. So where does that power come from, this power to grant such a protection? The power of the 3 jewels comes through the activities that are performed by the Dharma protectors. So the Dharma protectors are the emanations dispatched by the 3 jewels. And how many protectors are there? There are really countless protectors. But it is said that there are thousands of different protectors. The king of those protectors is Mahakala. So you can see if we have a tanka here of Mahakala, and that is Mahakala. And Mahakala is practiced really throughout all the different lineages. They all practice Mahakala. He is the main protector, the king of the protectors. And then he has a vast retinue of various other protectors that are bound under oath, humans and non-humans. On the non-human realm, there are those various spirit beings like the elemental spirits and so forth, and the territorial spirits. And they have taken a vow to protect the Dharma and the transmission of the Dharma, the practitioners of the Dharma. So it is said that all of these spirits, which then become the retinue of Mahakala, have taken the Genyen or the Upasaka vows, which are the lay person's vows. Have taken those vows, promising to protect those who practice the teachings. And so all of these protectors have the Upasaka vows, and they initially were those elemental spirits or local spirits and earth lords and so forth. And then they have taken a commitment to protect the Dharma by taking those Genyen or Upasaka layperson vows. And they have taken the vow that to protect those who practice the teachings. So first they listened to the Dharma teachings, they received teachings, and then they promised to act as the helpers of the practitioners to come. And that is why they are considered as so precious. So now I'm just telling my own examples, my own personal stories. And actually I could really, there's just so many, I could talk day and night to no end. But just to give one small short story that actually is not my story, but Yeshe Lama, who's here, he actually told me that story. He did run into some difficulties at the airport, and so he told me about it. And I just remember that story now. And so he told me how he was locked in a small room. And then all he was thinking is Achi. He said, I was just thinking of Achi and prayed to her. And then a Chinese woman stepped in. So that was in China. So that a woman stepped in. And he says, where are you from? Who are you? And then he was able to tell his full story, and then was let go. So this is just one story where we could easily miss that this was an actual protection from the protectors. And actually, the protectors protect us in these ways many times, but we don't always recognize their presence. If we only really see that if we have the eyes to see that, we can recognize that's actually the protectors helping me. But if we lack that understanding, then we might just think that, well, it's because of I know the language so well. And so that's why I helped myself out of this difficult situation at the airport, for example. So you could come up just thinking that it was because of what I did, because of my competence. I'm good at something. So that is how one would think if one wouldn't recognize that is actually the protectors doing. And so it actually was the protectors that recognized that benefited, that protected him there and protect us in these situations. Jigten Sumgen said in that quote that we mentioned before that a wise being, a truly wise being is always humble. So for example, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, as you mentioned, if you ask him about all the great things that he had done in the world, he would not take ownership of that. And he would never say that, oh, yes, I have done so many great things for sentient beings. I did this and that. He would never say that. He would always be humble, and he would say that, well, that was just the blessings of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the protectors. And so he, even though he's taking this humble position and never really praising himself for the great things that he has done, he is the one that is now the renowned Lama of the Tibetan people. Everyone knows him in the world, and he is our main Lama in the Tibetan tradition. And that is because he is like that. So such a person is just like the sun shining in the world, and the sun pervades everywhere in the world. So if you are like that, then that is what will make your qualities pervade throughout the world. Then again, who made all these qualities manifest? It was really the assistance of the protectors. They were really the ones putting in the work, accomplishing that. And so that's why the protectors are so important. And that's also why I wrote this short Sorka protector offering practice. And this is what I want to teach about.
Garchen Rinpoche order chibo be start Garchen Rinpoche that is go 소진 직과지장 참아 강디와 너는 나카도 강디와 또 차라들이 고조시 중서 바리처럼 고보용 대전 중데 능고보 지적성만 담지 매 차라들이 대비 내가 그 대답지 뜨거운 가시하는 강디 우선 이 전체 매번 나팔 때 내대면 사르드 저기 사르드 레벨 말에 뒤통에 시골에 이제 내요래 저기 데려단 조제들 다 엄마 홍지 가르데 저러 엄진도 낙각강소 사지 탐치서라도가 세질라 반들이 당어 라면 칸을 라면 칸 매와지 이제래 다고 알아들이 엄진도 요 낙각강소 조르가 세용을 대삼질 머제베들은 저서는데 아이로 포섬초들 다들들 로다 좋아하는 갈르게 되게 로도 포섬초 홍홍이 시들서 저서 오마홍이 잡타나들이 라는 강강스 대당에서다 쌍나디 하적 사적 요래 디베과테라 데들이 이제리 다과래 이제리 다과래 너 탐치 이제리 다과하면 조대야 이제리 다과랑이 송고요 람송을 빼라 남그 차타 사이 남산이 되바르티니 리티 조대 탐지 뭐저 칼라서 동약실 탐지 대리람지디 사과메 빠지네 우보 또도 많이 봐 당시 자마이도 뭐 남한자 총능이 강송상 리티 코너메 조대들이 코너바 레레지도 합탑 잘라고 리고 말에 코너바 자 저렇게 저렇게 보고 두배용되는 포마타다 야 저렇게 보고서 로로 가는 애들이 저렇게 포마타들이 홀와 점성들을 배고 공감마 이성지 엄성지 대저고 대대 공제대 대사사고나 제가 람니시라 요사말이 대대 공제대 제발이 아 조제다 조연이 와대 그 소쟁이 남각하면 제배봐요 그래지 lakhan kose banayi yoredi dilla tamchi yores 조제 telleri yeshi derse dedi dilla ne pukong chung chung dingna ne xiamna dili de tashi bori lang 아들 뭐지 또 강나리 주대 공평 상나는데 갈리 상황에 변이되나 저게 자당마도 통주면 택다 너는 락을 가라 대푸지 시험에는 렉차리 가가로 상마지래 자기 놀아대 야고 그래 다 고마 속와서 대제를 말해 랑 찍고 해야되더니 폭공 총총 나는데 한 장통제대로 총총 나는데 락을 가리 살라 가기 좋아더니 대파 소차지 날 봤대잖아 자꾸 요래 엄마 홍들이 주어다 주제가 대를 고민잖아 이제 책든 적대 요래지
And then we come to the sadhana, and so it becomes. So it begins with that is the three roots sadhana. Now the Rinpoche composed a short sloka. So it starts with on Mahong in the sky above from Vajradhara, and gather one by one the lamas who hold the 6 transmissions, and below gather and so forth. And so here first we visualize the field of accumulation, which is similar to the refuge tree. And it reminds me of how I saw it in the past once when I was in Washington, D.C., and His Holiness the Dalai Lama gave the color chakra empowerment there. So he stayed there giving the empowerment in this large hotel. And it really all appeared like this field of accumulation, this refuge tree, like all the different levels of guests, so to speak, were present. And so first, it was like the space pervading guests of the 3 jewels that our guests of devotion, the 3 jewels, which was His Holiness and his retinue. And then in the middle, there were the guests of the protectors, that would protect His Holiness, the protectors, which are the guests of enlightened qualities. And then surrounding that were all the assembly, the audience. So those consist then of the guests of the humans and like the guests of our compassion, the beings of the 6 realms, and then the karmic creditors, the guests of our karmic debt. And they all surround him like masses of clouds. So I really saw it that way when I was looking at this whole assembly. And so when we see this assembly, it's not that now they are here and before they were not here. It's not that they are newly here, but actually that is the primordial basis. This is how they abide primordially. And so anyways, here we make offerings to them. So it begins with Mahong, and actually also where sometimes first we recite Ram Yam Kam, and Ram Yam Kam is to purify everything, surroundings, all the offerings that are being made. And then with Mahong, then these offerings are transformed and multiplied. So with through the sense pleasures that are being offered, they multiply, they come to pervade the entire space. And then through saying these offerings become perfect in their flavor, become whatever is desired. And then through Hung, they are transformed into the nectar of primordial wisdom. So these offering substances are whatever those guests desire. They transform into that. And then that also often goes along with, is also preceded by the 6 mantras that we perform together with 6 mudras. So these turn the offerings into what the guests desire, essentially. And so on the basis, these offerings are actually pure. So the place, for example, where the teachings were given, is the place, the field is actually pure, and that is I don't know how I say that. The nature of all, of not just the Gala Chakra, but where any field, any place, and how they are pure is they are manifest through the merging, the touching of the sky and the earth. Where the sky and the earth touch, this is where the refined essence of offerings, or like food, for example, can manifest. So meaning that when food is prepared, then the refined essence is the steam coming from that food, and that steam coming from the food arises due to the union of the sky and the earth. It is not solid and substantial, but it is just like steam, like a rainbow in the sky. It is there, but not. And that is that union of the sky and the earth. It is there, but it is also not, just like a rainbow or steam. Then that is this vital essence of the offering. That is what is offered to them. And then how do they partake of these offerings, those guests? So it is not that they are like crowding around and struggling and trying to get some of their offerings, but from their mouths, from the mouths of all the guests, tongues of rainbow-like tubes emerge, like straws, vajra straws, tubes emerge from their mouths. Their tongues become these tubes, these straws, and with these straws, they draw in the nectar of the vital essence of these sense offerings that we have transformed. And then we think that they become completely satisfied and they enjoy the nectar that they are partaking of. So that is something I wanted to mention, because maybe that has not been mentioned so clearly before. It is just how we perceive it, the way we visualize this. And so again, the way we visualize it is when we visualize the refuge stream or the field of accumulation, which is our recipient of offerings. The way we perceive it, the way we visualize it, is with an awareness that they're always present. They're actually always there because they always pervade all of space. And when we become aware of this, it is like open the doors of the temple and actually seeing them. And then the second part is how these offerings are actually enjoyed, how they are taken in. So first of all, what is taken in is the nectar of this offering. So that is the refined essence is taken in as wisdom nectar. And then the way it is taken in is through these vajra tube tongues. And so that is why we can just use a small little like piece of bread or a small little piece of food as an offering to represent that, because the wisdom nectar from that is taken in. For example, I remember when we were in prison, there was Ate Rinpoche, and in the morning when we had our morning tea and a piece of bun, like a piece of bread, he would take that piece of bread and dip it into his tea, looking like he's just dipping his bread and eating it, but really by dipping it, he would make a slight little sprinkle with it, and that became his sort of secret offering to the protectors. So it is just a little offering that is almost unnoticeable, but the offering is being made. And so it can be made in such a way. Of course, some people who, if you're able to actually participate in group practice at the monastery and so forth, then of course it's excellent to have all these offering substances present, especially if it can be afforded. But even when you're doing a practice alone by yourself, if you don't have much, if you just have a small amount of wine, for example, or tea, whatever you have, it is perfectly fine to just use that and make that an offering. And then later, you can also the leftovers, the remains eaten by animals. And so that is the beginning. So the meaning of the Omahung. So here in this context, we need to bring to mind what is the recipient, what is the actual recipient of our offerings. And then secondly, in which manner, in which way are these offerings enjoyed?
너네들 가르치고 싶어야 지요래. 쌍땅, 썰땅, 초땅, 소까지 가래나 그래서 주요 그 시행들들이 그래서自己 조죠. 대답이 안 줘봐 봤나? 대답이 손을 토도는 랑들이 좀 들고 제베 양무럽 초고 무럽 랑게 내록 통통하다. 토먹어 무럽 내가 남겨본 초아 로지 삼질 양 무럽 낭도 토먹어 무럽 남이 배운 차례도 주요我们他们了，让东啊做一些呢，配置上去的就是送的，多数当然，包括多数老亚的那送的，这平庸的吧，我那这里，我说做干的，做看长嘛个这里，啥个人送干的东西过来，好工作做了好个，必须没，这送嘛他们记了他的做的他们做个，让人一救着了，这送嘛生了。저렇게 제발이 요 말이 요래 대다리 시적까지 뭐 소도 조박 강은 오 다람지 요때 가리 요래되는 무슨 작한 기본상 저 칼라서 온다 칼라디 그 당보도 똑같은 나고 칼 바람 가져올 조척반은 설은 조고 요래 그 이바데 당고지 싸고 요래 저거 그 선바데 양다만 그저 렌차포는 도사들이 야고도 타고 요래 꼬라자로디 정말 페인게 요래 정말 놀라 생고만의 신차요 말에 펄마 보여 말에 이런 소노고 토고 요래 배는 딸이라면 발레도 되나 야야야 공가를 공가를 말에 고도도 고마 배되는 일이 생고마탑이라 손남사부터도 보고 요래 생고마탑이 우리 강에 생 요래 참말 핑계는 너는 또 숨직 띵 감나 내 봐야 제세대 뒤는 마들이 적게요 말에 내가 조열당이 조져요 예능상지 듣고 다송 고소라는 강의 설송지 대로 싸우는 동선에 그래서 소소가 가르던 때 저기 이 동지 신하들이 주바데 이제를 요 끝에서 보이고 그래서 그요 이제를 가려요 되는 무슨 무슨 싸움하다나 갈아 가려서나 주다 못해 반난가나 소는 차도 요래 이봐 수바된 것이 싸요 수바대 양양 사월에 참도 요래 그래서 좀 모아지지 너는 sempre 생고만 주반벌이서로 되라 생고만 모아지지 되거라는 동안 시기 되기지 뭐 요래 돼 그래서 나도 너도 지잖아 된다 그래
So now the most important thing to understand here that I want to mention is that so whichever practice you do, for example, we may do a smoke offering, a sang smoke offering, or a sur, so for the deceased or for the living smoke offering, or we may do a talk, a feast offering, or we do a sorka, a protector offering. We always need to understand what is that recipient, the field that we make this offering to, and how do we perceive it, how do we see it. And then also we need to see how the merit is attained by making these offerings and what kind of merit that really is. So by making these offerings, in whatever we do, as a result, there is a result that corresponds to the cause. So the result will be similar to the cause. And when we make these offerings, the result is twofold. It is the attainment of the two siddhis, the common and supreme siddhis. The supreme siddhi is to realize the nature of the mind. The common siddhi is to attain a various temporary abilities, like removing various hindrances and attaining various abilities. And so that is also explained in the here in the Dharma offering. It explains in the following page really and also it explains the benefits of dedicating this Dharma, of why we are making these offerings. And these kind of protector offerings are made in all the different lineage, whether it is Sakya, Nima, Kagyu, and so on. But here in our lineage, in our other, the blue Sorka text, there is the supplication, the secret supplication that begins with Ho Gongso Solo, or please heed me, please heed me. And so in that, so that explains really the benefit of making this Dharma offering. And here actually, when you do this, please heed me prayer, you can actually supplicate any protector that you have great faith in. It doesn't really make no difference between the different lineages. It can be any protector that you can direct this supplication to, as long as you understand the meaning. And the meaning is made very clear in this supplication. One example of how these offerings are being made is, for example, when you go to a restaurant, a large restaurant, you're eating food there. So there are 3 levels to the food, or kind of 3 levels of subtlety, 3 parts of the food that are being eaten. So the first part, the vital aspect of the food, actually goes into space in the form of the steam that is generated by cooking the food. So that's the vital essence of the food that goes into space. And then the second part of the food is what we eat, what we then get to eat. And then the third part of the food is then like how it comes out as waste. And so then actually that becomes the offering to the karmic creditors, as it again dissolves back into the earth, into the ground. So in this way, it goes around in a circle, from here to here to here. And wherever it goes, it only brings benefit and becomes an offering. So first, when it is in its subtle form of the steam, it becomes an offering to the higher beings. And so those higher beings, they have no need for these material offerings, actually. And that is also why they receive this really subtle part of the offering. It doesn't have to be a huge offering, because the main purpose of making the offering is actually for us to accumulate merit. And for example, if you give a piece of bread to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he will accept it and be happy, but not because he wants that bread, because he's so hungry, but because he allows you to accumulate merit. And it is a great way to accumulate merit. So the reason why we give is in order to accumulate merit. The reason why we give to those higher beings, we make offerings, is to accumulate merit, and also we give to suffering sentient beings in order to clear away their suffering. So that is in the short Sorka Sadhana, page 2. So of those dwelling in the 3,000 worlds and who take delight in wholesomeness, hosts of earth loads of this very land, and so forth. And then it goes through the various guests and then how the sentient beings' suffering is being dispelled through this offering. So the way we have to think about when we the way we should make these offerings here again is we have to understand that the field of recipient is always there, like space. And when we make a food offering, for example, then think of those 3 parts that actually are offered when we offer food. So the first part is the refined essence of the food in the form of that steam, and that is made to the higher beings. And then the second part is the actual solid food that we are eating. And and then in the end, the third part, the remains, is given to the karmic creditors to dispel their suffering. And so what we need to keep in mind is, what's very important is to keep in mind that when these offerings are being made, we do so in order to accumulate merit, and we do so in order to dispel the suffering of sentient beings, essentially. So that, in brief, is the meaning of this protector offering.
So folks will be going straight for our group photo. So if everybody could come out to the right.